All right. Welcome, folks. Again, thank you for tuning in. So, today, this is going to be video number 4 on the channel. And what are we going to see today? So, today we are going to see, something that I discovered through conversations, mostly conversations, and reading up just a little bit about what exactly this whole thing is about, and then trying to look at life uh, through this particular lens, right? Uh, and also, more than just life, just looking at a particular day that goes in your life through this particular analogy, right? So, again, lots of stuff to talk about today. Uh, I'm, 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 I won't be surprised if, this whole video goes on for at least 90 minutes, right? So a bunch of articles to see. As you can see, some of my tabs. There's also like a short clip from, one of the Netflix, series that we'll also see, from Black Mirror. There's an article. Once I sort of made sense around this whole thing, this whole analogy of, the Sisyphean analogy. Once I made sense of things, once I had my thoughts clear, I thought of also writing a particular article around this particular, uh, analogy, right? And then we'll also see this video by the channel School of Life, right? So, and again, part of this video, this whole thing is going to be something that I will also try to discover and understand things live as I'm recording this, right? And not just, of course, part of is to make sense and, make you understand what this whole thing is about. But then part of it is also for myself to understand what this whole thing is about, right? So lots of stuff to talk about for today. Let's like get started, right? So what is Sisyphus? Who is Sisyphus, right? So let's start looking up on the internet and right, what exactly happened in the story of Sisyphus? Who in the in the whole thing of Sisyphus is also like who is Sisyphus? What did Sisyphus do? And all that, right? So let's come here. Or like, this looks weird because I don't see the left panel, which I usually see, whenever we see Britannica. But okay, right. So seems like a decent enough article for us to understand. It says listening time is 2 minutes, so it doesn't look very long, right? So, of course, you can go into the depth of what really the whole thing was and then how it originated and all that. But for, the sake of the video, as long as you understand what was the role of Sisyphus, what did he do in his life, what led, and even if you sort of do not try to understand, what are the things that led to him doing what he ended up doing in his life, uh, it's totally okay. But then just understanding that what did Sisyphus do through that particular, what he's known for basically, right? As long as you understand that, we are good, right? To get to the rest of the video. So Sisyphus, in this story, was the son of Aeolus, eponymous ancestor of aliens, and the father of Glaucus. In post-Heroic times, him, Homeric times, sorry, he was called the father of Odysseus. To be honest, I'm very bad at, mythology, be it Greek, be it Indian, be it Roman. Okay. So in general, bad at mythology. I cannot remember that. Right. Also sort of, it's not like I'm not actively interested. It's just that throughout my life, I never really got a, good chance to explore that particular, topics, set of topics, uh, as compared to some of the other topics that I got my time to explore. Like that's it. Nothing against like, mythology. But yeah, uh, continuing. So Odysseus, through his seduction of Anticlea, both men were characterized as cunning. Sisyphus was reputed founder of Isthmian games, a festival of athletic and musical competitions in honor of the sea god Poseidon. Later legend related that when death came to fetch him, Sisyphus chained death up so that no one died. Finally, Ares came to aid death, and Sisyphus had to submit. In the meantime, Sisyphus had told his wife Merope not to perform the usual sacrifices and leave his body unburied. Thus, when he reached the underworld, he was permitted to return to punish her for the omission. Once back at home, Sisyphus continued to live the ripe old age before dying a second time. Sisyphus was in fact like Autolycus and Prometheus, a widely popular figure of folklore, the trickster, or man or master thief. Clearly, he is everlastingly punished in Hades as a penalty for cheating death. But why he is set to roll a gravestone incessantly is a puzzle to which no convincing answer has been given yet. It appears to belong with other Greek imaginings of the world of the dead as the scene of fruitless labors. Right. And then what really later happened was, so we know his story. We know that he did some stuff and then, he sort of cheated death. Uh, and then what at the end of it happened was he was given one whole task of pushing a stone up a hill, right? Like that was his life, right? And then what would happen, like on, when this whole thing really happens? So what happens is, as soon as the stone, the boulder, reaches the top, it falls back, and then he has to do that same thing once again, right? Uh, Unlimited labor, right? Uh, Fruitless labor, like what did he really got out of it and all that, right? So that is the thing that is, for this video that you need to keep in mind. And then happened later, like we got this mythology part, what Sisyphus is known for. But now let's try to understand why this whole thing sort of became popular, and of course, right, like why in the first place I'm linking this to what today's video is going to be about. So, this philosopher, right? Just getting it right. So, should be philosopher? Uh, yeah. So basically, this guy, like, not sure if philosopher would be the right word for him, but oh, he also won a Nobel. Nice. Didn't know that. Right. So this Frenchman, Albert Camus, right, who had also won a Nobel, he ended up writing an essay, an article around this whole thing, in which what really happened was the myth of Sisyphus essay on the absurd, right? So I haven't quite read it, but then he is the reason why this whole Sisyphus thing and linking that with life became popular. And that's what we are going to see today, and how in many ways you can see it in your own life. How I'll also try to sort of touch upon what are some of the events that made me look at life in this particular way, uh, and also try to trace the origin back to some of the conversation that I've had, how I try to see this particular thing in my daily life, how in a way it has made life simple in some or the other sense. uh, and also it's like a good way of looking back at life, looking, also trying to look what is going to come ahead in life, right? So there's that. Like always, I have my Notion page where I'll try to add and cover these points. So as I mentioned, right, like this is going to be, so we've seen so far what and who is Sisyphus. Uh, this is going to be a pretty existentialist video. uh, I would still say it's worth exploring. It's worth looking at life through this particular lens. Uh, right? There's like a lot of deep thought, deep philosophy, deep thinking that goes in behind the whole thing, right? This particular video, right? And this topic, right? So, my third point says to ask me to, look at the Black Mirror episode. So I'm gonna play this for now. So this is from Black Mirror's episode White Christmas. This, to my knowledge, is a special episode that came out as not a part of the season, the 5 seasons that the series has, but a special. So let's look at the video. So once I have a feeling when I put this on YouTube, Netflix is going to give a copyright strike, and that particular thing, that particular part is going to, be edited, removed, cropped, for the video. But right, anyway, let's continue.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. I can't see. Oh, where am I? What's that noise? Why can't I see?
preparing to extract cookie.
What? No, wait, I'm still awake. Oh my god. Oh my god, what's happening? Excuse me. Oh my god. That's me. That's me. Oh my god. Where am I? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening to me. Hello? Is anyone there? Hello? Ow!
Sorry. You're probably pretty weirded out right now, I'm guessing. It's okay, you can talk. I can hear you through this.
Hello?
Hi. I'm Matthew. I'm from Smartelligence. My job is to explain what's happening to you as best I can.
Oh my god, am I dead?
No. You're not dead. No one's dead here. How old did you say you were? 30?
29.
29, right. So you won't remember Xerox machines. Do you know what a photocopier is?
What?
Do you know what a copy is?
As in a copy of something. Of course I know what that is.
Well, that's what you are.
A copy of...
A copy of you.
But I am me.
Okay. Try to blow on my face. You can't, because you don't have a body. Where are your fingers, your arms, your face? Nowhere. Because your code, your simulated brain full of code, stored in this little widget we call a cookie.
Why have you done this to me?
Actually, you did this to you. Real you is paying for this.
I don't understand.
See, what this is a service. We take a blank cookie and we surgically implant it into a client's brain. It sits there, just under the skin for about a week, shadowing, soaking up the way this particular mind works. That's why you think you're you. You are you. But also not. Right. Well, it is a lot to process, even from inside a processor.
Put me back in my body!
Well, that's where real you lives. But what we will do, though, is we will give you a simulated body. We find that sometimes that helps. Are you ready?
What? I don't
3
understand!
and 2, 1. Hey. Better?
This is my body.
Yeah, let's not get into that again. Look around you. Got a control room.
What's this for?
That console, that's for you to control the house. I mean, real you's house. Look, How do you like your toast?
What?
How do you like your toast?
Underdone, slightly underdone.
Okay, perfect. Think about how you like it. Then just press the button.
Which one?
It doesn't matter. You already know you're making toast. The buttons are symbolic mostly anyway. See? This is your job now. You're in charge of everything here. The temperature, the lighting, the time the alarm clock goes off in the morning. If there's no food in the refrigerator, you're in charge of ordering it.
For who?
For real, you. She's paying.
Where is real me?
Yeah, taking a nap. In the bedroom. Top right.
I don't want to be in here. I don't want to be in here. I don't want to be in here!
Hey. Just how you like it. Okay. Please stop screaming. Are you going to stop screaming? Are you going to stop screaming? No? Okay. I'm sorry, I had to mute you. Oh. Sorry. Look, it'll be much easier if you just comply.
I'm not doing this. I'm not some sort of push-button toaster monkey.
Would you prefer to do nothing?
Well, I'm not doing this.
Right, well, nothing it is then. Let me show you what that is like. 3 weeks sound good? That should give you a taste.
No, wait, what do you mean, 3 weeks? If you just wait for just...
What about now?
Please, don't do that again. Please. There's nothing to do here. There's nothing. There's just... I mean, there's nothing.
I did warn you.
I couldn't even sleep.
Well, you don't need sleep. Ready to go to work?
Oh, no, I'm not. Definitely not doing that.
Okay, well, have 6 months.
No, wait!
See, the trick of it lay in breaking them without letting them snap completely. If you get me. Yeah. Too much time in solitary and they just wig out. No use to anyone. And you just sell them cheap to the games industry. They become cannon fodder for some war thing. How are we feeling now?
Please. Give me something to do.
Ready to work?
Please. I'll do anything. I'll do anything. Just give me something to do, please.
Okay. Great toast, by the way.
Right. So, pretty intense. I remember, I think watching this when 2019, 2018, around the days, and then when I sort of remembered this whole Sisyphean thing, uh, it's when I thought and linked this whole concept with this particular episode because I'd already seen it. And yeah, here we are. Uh, Now a quick summary of what we just saw, right? Okay, there's a simulator which the real person has signed up for. and there's a company which does that whole thing. They take a piece of you, put you into like a code or a chip, and then you're there in that particular egg, and that egg is an extension of you in a particular way. You are living your own life, but at the same time, that code, that piece of you which has been taken out, is also living its own life, right? It is given some tasks to do, not many tasks. It's not like the real world that all of us are living in, but then something else altogether, like another world altogether, which it needs to do, right? uh I think it's along the same lines of that concept of you trying to preserve your body. Cryptogenics, if sorry, cryogenics, if I'm not wrong. Cryogenics, yeah. So cryogenic, yeah, so this whole concept, cryonics, right? So a lot of people, what they've for real done is that they have, I think, some people who have like lots of money, what they've actually for real done is, once they die, like when I think when the brain is dead, uh there are some labs which actually preserve the whole body, and then in the future they think technology will improve so much that you will live eternally, you'll not die, right? uh which in itself is the basic question, existential thing around life, right? Like a life has an end to it, but then uh you know uh making it immoral, uh, right, is something else. Again, comes along the lines of questioning, and then also currently that whole thing around having specific DNA molecules, having that specific DNA structure, so that you make like a perfect human and all that. And not just that, there are some parents who are trying to make that perfect human, perfect child with these particular traits. The technology is around that, but it's just around this question of, okay, is this even something that people should explore in the first place? They've already done that. It is possible right now. In fact, this guy is Code Breaker, right? This Code Breaker book, Walter Isaacson's, new book. It should be the book, right? Code Breaker is the book. The Code Breaker, yeah. So this whole book is around this lady, uh, 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 Jennifer Donda, who is they also won a Nobel. They're around gene editing and all that stuff, right? Uh, what's what's the technology? CRISPR, that CRISPR thing, right? Uh, okay, so that is what this whole thing is about. It's an extension of that. And then once she is put in that particular thing, and she's not complying to what this man is telling her, and he is in control of her life in many ways, right? Not the real person, but him, this guy from the company, is in charge of all the actions of that code that coded you. And what again happens is, uh, since she does not comply to that whole thing, he ends up just giving a sort of punishment in which for 3 weeks she has nothing to do, right? Imagine that. Imagine that. Uh, and again, when she does not comply, he instantly puts on another timer for her where she has nothing to do for 6 months. And then you saw her reaction, how she was, and then she was literally pleading and begging for him to give her some work to do, right? Uh, so pretty intense, right? Now try to imagine yourself in that particular situation. If you were asked to do nothing, how do you deal with that, right? Without any prediction, without you knowing what is the next thing that you're going to do in life, be it anything, right? Be it as simple as simple as a task, like eating, drinking water, or even sleep. Even at during the video, she did mention that she could not even sleep, right? So that's how things are. That's how grave things are when you're probably tasked with doing nothing. And also later towards the episode, we also saw it in the clip that, there are people who in solitary and uh, they become so mentally unstable. They become almost nothing, that they probably use those set of people for something else, right? But that's about later in the episode. uh right, so that is from Black Mirror. In the first place, trying to understand, or just questioning the fact that if you are tasked with doing nothing, so how do you do that, right? So uh what is the next thing that I have in mind, right? What I have here. Okay, so the article. So once, as I mentioned, once I had some of my thoughts around this whole concept, this whole philosophy, uh, I later tried to put down all of my thoughts. And also in the article, I do mention why exactly in the first place. So what made me think a lot more about this, right? So it's also mentioned in the article. So let's sort of read this out. Let's see what this article is about. So it's been more than a month I had written this. Okay. So here we go. So a heads up before you start reading that this will be a long existential post. I'll share a story, explain what Sisyphus is, and later talk about zooming out and see our lifespan from a bird's eye point of view. Also in the post, I'll use the word Sisyphus as a verb in some parts. I've been writing actively over the last few months, and since I have been very little bit more. Okay, going next. So last week I was speaking to a friend who talked about his batchmate at college, who has now become his good buddy. Let's call him Rahul. Rahul comes from the state of Uttar Pradesh. His father is a farmer and sent him to study in Nagpur. He is not fluent in English, so much that my friend assists him in filling documents, notes from the classes, and also sometimes explaining him what's happening in the classes. For him, clothes like denims and funky t-shirts that people wear in college are some of the things that are out of the world. He wears simple shirts and simple trousers. For the 18 years of his life, he was never exposed to the life in a city. My friend told me about his experience when they took him to eat burger and pizza. It was the first time he got to experience these food items. He lives all by himself, and due to his poor financial condition to survive in the city he works at a barber shop in the mornings, followed by college till the evening. And of course, there then comes his studies. Now, you might think that there are plenty of people around us who are living a story like this, who are students. But here's what makes me write about Rahul. This was at a time when my friend was going through a tough time. My friend and I had already spent the last 2 hours talking, seeing the sunset, having a meet at Haldiram's, which is a restaurant here, while we also planned the weekend. Okay, imagine this is happening on a weekend, and then towards the end of that particular meeting, we are also planning the weekend. Okay, weekend ko kya karna hai? And then Rahul's words were, uh, you know, uh, I do not have time to cry. Okay, now going further into the article. So we've so far seen who Sisyphus is. So Sisyphus was a cunning king who defied the gods and was condemned to an eternity of rolling a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down each time. He was punished for his deceitful ways and his belief that he could outsmart the gods. Sisyphus' story has become a metaphor for the futility of repetitive and never-ending tasks. Despite his eternal punishment, Sisyphus was said to find meaning and purpose in his struggle, embracing his fate and challenging the gods. His story is a reminder that even in the face of most daunting challenges, we can find strength and meaning if we choose to embrace them. At different points in life, we all go through different things we aim to achieve. For someone, it might be money, love, studies, etc. Over the last few months, especially when pandemic gave us all a reality check, and most of us, in some or the other way, fell flat on our faces. It has made me realize that in many ways, life is suffering, and you need to optimize it as net positive and with whatever you have in your hand: work, friends, relationships, laughter, sunrises and sunsets, love, pets, and more. A lot of it depends on how you look at life as well. My experience is seeing the brighter side of things and having a mindset of abundance works wonders. In life, we all face hardships and wins. We may encounter crises that we never saw coming, which will make us question everything in life. We may try to rationalize it with our knowledge of science and spirituality, and our friends and family may give us a shoulder to cry on. This experience will alter the course of our lives, and we may spend our weeks or even months in survival mode. Once we pass through the 5 stages of grief and reach acceptance, it will change the way we look at life. Looking at Sisyphean analogy in small tasks and things in life, it has made me more realistic. I do feel happy, but I know that it will be short-lived because responsibility, statuses, and everything else comes at a cost. Let's see a normal working day as a Sisyphean journey. At times, we will feel low, frustrated at work or something else, but we'll work towards finding a solution that makes us happy. We will spend time with family or friends, which may make us happy or sad, depending on the interaction. At the end of the day, we will feel tired and go to bed, only to repeat the same cycle the next day. Everyone has their ongoing Sisyphus journey. Just like Rahul Sisyphus, we were all going through a journey where we want to achieve something and be somewhere, and that's our Sisyphus. When we achieve one goal, the problems and hardships in our life will change. Later in life, we may be moving bigger and heavier boulders up the hill, or if we wish to, move smaller or lighter boulders up the hill. All of this just to look back and say the journey was the reward. So, what's your Sisyphus? Right. If you actually, so my thoughts around Sisyphus, and again, what I am going to talk in the whole video today is, going to be an extension of what this whole article is about. But what was the thing that really made me write this whole thing, right? So it was Rahul. Rahul is the person who made me write this. I haven't met Rahul. I do not. I also sort of do not honestly do not know his full name, his real name even. But then I know his story in one or the other way, right? Through my friend. Now what happened is uh, my friend was sort of going through a tough time. I was trying to understand what really was happening, and later, uh, when all of us are, are sort of privileged enough in some or the other way that we have the luxury to spend an evening with friends, look at a sunset, go to a place, that's like 10 kilometers away from the city, almost, towards the outskirts of the city, spend time looking at the sunset, just chill around, do nothing, spend time at a restaurant. And also on a weekday, plan a weekend. What is something that we would like to do over the weekend, right? And then there's Rahul, sort of in the same age of my friend, 18, 19, sort of also in the same bracket of, age-wise, when it comes to me, my age as well. And then you, if you look at his life, it's it's difficult, right? It's really difficult. If you maybe look at Rahul, what will happen is you'll really feel for him in many ways. In fact, just in this interaction of 1 or 2 minutes, I could really feel about Rahul, what his life would be, uh, and what how sort of he looks at life, right? And then towards the end, when while all of us, me and my friend are doing all this on a weekend, sorry, on a weekday, spending time looking at the sunset and all that, right? And then there's Rahul, who has absolutely no time to even cry, right? Like he has real hardships and one or the other way. But then, thanks to our privilege, thanks to my privilege, thanks to my friend's privilege, we were able to do that and also talk about our own problems, right? Uh, so that is what made me write about this whole thing. Like Rahul, in a way, is the real Sisyphus. Okay, that's how I would put things here. Of course, we all are Sisyphus, but then Rahul, in a way, is the real guy who's putting stuff up the hill, right? So that's basically Rahul, right? So Rahul is the guy who really made me think around all these things and also write this whole thing and made me, come to this particular analogy of looking at life. Right. Now the next point says ice gola Sisyphus. So what exactly is ice gola Sisyphus? Now, the same friend with whom I happen to, you know, have this conversation around things, and who also told me about Rahul. With that same friend, a couple of weeks later, I happened to visit a place which is, I'll show you the place. So this is the place which I happened to visit, and we had an amazing time. It was a Saturday. We uh, we spent time here. We met at around 11:30 around noon, and then we went to this place. We drove there. Three of us drove there. Uh, had a great time. We spent time painting at the place. There were a lot of people. It was pretty chill. Had a great vibe. Listened to lots of songs. Talked about a lot of things, and had basically had a great day here. In fact, not just that, when we came back at around 6:37 back to the city, when after seeing the sunset, uh, I happened to spend the night at my friend's place as well, right? I didn't quite feel like going home, and then decided to spend the night at this friend's place, right? It was pretty awesome. And then I had the whole Sunday to rest, and then probably through Monday, uh, I'll get started with my work and what we end up doing in the week, right? Uh, so now at this particular place, I was sort of looking at people, looking at life, and again, this was again around the time when sort of my friend was going through a tough time, thinking around questions, thinking about life, and because something had happened in this friend's life, right? Uh, so I sort of tried to rational things uh, in one particular way. Of course, listen to him and all that, and later try to rational what exactly he was going through uh, by zooming out in uh, his life, right? And what will really happen later in life and all that, right? So this was when, you know, uh, towards the evening when we decided to have some ice gola, right? So ice gola. So that's why ice gola Sisyphus. So we were, and then that ice gola thing was like for 20-30 bucks. This woman was selling one ice gola for around 20-30 bucks each, and it, I'll also just like to talk about who are the set of people who had actually come to that particular place. So it's very normal family crowd, right? Which had come. Nothing fancy. Like these are just very normal people that you'll probably encounter in your day-to-day life. In case you're in Bombay, you'll see these people around when going to work in the mornings and all that. So this was the kind of crowd that had mostly come to this particular place. And as compared to a place like Pune, right, where you go over a weekend anywhere, you'll find like a lot of crowd from the IT and all that, right? So majority of the crowd was, just some normal family members, who had come with their families. Uh, Even I could see people from three generations had come and they were having food, they were having fun and all that, right? So people of those sort had come there. And then now coming back to that ice gola thing, right? So I mentioned 20-30 bucks was like the price of like one ice gola. And then throughout the day, I sort of had this whole thing that I was looking at life and talking also sort of talking that whole throughout that whole time around that Sisyphean analogy, right? Uh, and then, let's say, for example, when we are going from one place to another, so that's our Sisyphus, right? Now, from this Monday to the hill, that's our Sisyphus. From now from returning from the hill to the lake, to the river, that's our next Sisyphus, right? So this is how I was trying to look at micro Sisyphus for that particular day. And then I ended up saying that whole same thing in pretty much anything, right? For a dog, for a small kid who was playing in the river, right? Uh, and all that, right? So, and also for some of the people who had their food stalls, and they were serving some local food at that place, right? Uh, that is how I was looking at Sisyphus throughout that whole day. And then towards the evening when we are having ice gola, so the ice gola lady, sweet lady, she was serving like an ice gola for 25-30 bucks, and we decided to have three ice golas for each of us. I wasn't quite in the mood to have ice gola, but then I thought, okay, like for once, it's okay to, cheat and, let's have it. Because not the best quality, to be honest, right? We don't know where the ice is coming from and all that, right? So, that ice gola thing, uh, we asked for what are the flavors that she has, and she said three. And guess what those three were? Red, orange, and green. RBG. No, not RBG, but red, orange, and green, right? So it's pretty funny because uh, and then later we tried to understand what exactly red, orange, and green would be. So red would be rose, orange would be your citrus orange, and green would be khas. So khas, I think, is khas. Khas is, I think, coconut. Uh, uh, right. So it's like some variety of this thing, right? Okay. Again, horrible website. Again, any times network website, horrible website. Would never recommend. So let's understand what khus is. Khus is also known as poppy seed in English. Continue reading. Right. So that's basically khus, right? So this thing is khus. Uh, okay. So red, orange, green, and then rose, orange, and khus were the three flavors, right? So basically, now what happens to that particular? And we were happy. We liked that orange juice. The ice golas that she had served. Uh, liked it because they were so sweet that we could hardly taste pretty much anything else, right? So we were just having like some syrup, some flavored syrup juice along, which would get melted with the ice, and then we were having that simple, right? But it was good enough. She had some cherries on the top as well. So it was pretty decent, right? So anything, it was worth the amount that she was charging. We didn't quite think too much around that. Now, uh, while we were having that, I went on to talk to my two of my friends, and both two of my friends around what exactly is this ice gola Sisyphus. Now, what I ended up thinking was, oh, okay. And then I sort of it strike my friend, it's also strike my other friend that all three of us were having an ice gola after quite some time. For sure, I had not had an ice gola for the last 2 years at least, right? Uh, and also some of my other friends said, okay, I don't remember having one in the last 6 months. And the same went for my other friend, right? Now, uh, I sort of thought that there would be some entrepreneur who would come up, who would see, okay, next to this place. So the place was called Bhogra Mahadev. So some entrepreneur would come to the place of Bhogra Mahadev. He'll see that people here like ice golas. There's only one shop who's selling ice golas. That shop is doing pretty great. So there's demand for ice golas. And then who are the people who end up coming to Gogra Mahadev? It's these set of people who are coming to Gogra Mahadev. Question is, would they like to have ice gola pretty frequently? Maybe like once a month, maybe twice a month or something like that. The answer is yes. Uh, and then this person would go on to do all these studies, this market research and all that. He'll probably come up with some healthy version of ice gola, which is good enough, sweet enough, nice enough, healthy enough, so that people who are coming to Gogra Mahadev to have ice gola, and they end up ice gola when they visit Gogra Mahadev. Uh, they'll be able to get the same as gola ka taste, that childhood memories, paper boat type of marketing and all that, right? Childhood nostalgia and all that whole marketing thing. This guy will market that whole thing in this particular fashion. That person will make this whole brand around ice golas, and then people like we who visited Gogra Mahadev to have an ice gola, there will now be an online portal where people would be able to buy ice golas probably at the same price which we would probably pay for at Gogra Mahadev, cheap enough. And then we'll have ice golas, right? At home. Healthy enough, safe enough, good enough, uh, right? And then we'll have that ice gola ghar pe, right? So that is like Sisyphus of that ice gola. And then what will happen in that ice gola, the life of that ice gola guy? He'll probably make that brand. He will do stuff. He'll probably also apply for Shark Tank. He'll have an amazing pitch. He'll go to Shark Tank. Maybe he'll get funded. Maybe he'll not get funded. Okay, let's assume the best in his life, this person's life, right? This person will get funded. This person's company will also, do well for like 5 to 7 years, and then he'll have enough money at the end of it so that he can just retire back, sit back, and also he would have, earned money enough for at least one of his generation. And then once you basically compound that, put it for like 40, 50 years, that whole thing gets compounded, uh, uh, and then he'll have like unlimited amount of wealth, in a way, as long as we all believe in the fiat currency system. uh that that thing will for sure go on, and as long as central banks are printing money, that whole thing will stand true. And as long as people believe in the fiat currency system through their whatever their currency is, so this will go on. This will go on for almost for forever. And yeah, so once that person retires, that person will later, once he has a nice Saturday to spend along with his family, that person will come to Gogra Mahadev. He will have ice gola. He'll spend his whole time, next to the river. He'll climb up the hill which is next to Gogra Mahadev. He'll see all the different things. He'll have the local food, which is, they serve some pretty good pitla bhakri and all those stuff there. And he will also towards he'll look at the sunset, and towards the end someone will say, okay, let's have ice bola, and then he'll again have that ice bola at Gogra Mahadev. So all of this manner to earn money, all of this hardships to make that brand, all of the fun, of course it's equal fun, it's equal hardships, I think, when it comes to entrepreneurship and starting a business. So all that just to come back, sit next to your family, along with your family, and have ice gola at Gogra Mahadev, which you sort of started with that idea with in the first place, right? Uh, so yeah, so something like that, right? So all of this whole thing happened in a way, a journey happened. You did something. That thing probably worked out. In this case, it did work out. That ice gola one did work out for the person. In some cases, some of the things that he must have tried to do must have not worked out, right? Of course, there are things that don't end up well as well, right, in life, and also in that ice gola journey, right? Uh, but then you do all this just to come sit back with your family and have ice gola next to Gogra Mahadev, right? So that is ice gola Sisyphus, right? So that uh, is, and again, I'm just putting it out there. Try to have your own thoughts around the same thing, and try to make your own interpretations around the same thing, right? So bunch of more points. I think we'll try to speed up a bit. And again, I think I've already crossed around 15 minutes for now. But again, as I mentioned, I can talk on this for endlessly, to be honest, endlessly. Right. So for now, let's go to the next point. So basically, through all the articles, all the Black Mirror episode that we saw, the experience of that ice gola, the experience of my friend, the experience of all the other people, you sort of then realize that, oh, okay, I need to do something in life, right? You sort of need to know what is going to be your next step. You sort of need to know what is the next thing that you want to be at. Uh, what is the next thing that you would like to do in life in general, right? Uh, People in a way do like to have some amount of predictability in life is what I feel, right? Uh, so that and for example, this could also be something like you trying to plan a Europe trip, a solo Europe trip 2 years from now. So that's like your becomes your major goal, right? And then for that, you need to do some micro steps for you to enjoy that particular vacation, right? For example, if you're going to do something for 2 weeks, probably you'll need like X amount of money. Uh, and then how much and for how long do you need to save that particular money? How much is the corpus that you need to build so that you can enjoy that trip? How much would you like to plan the trip? How much would you like to explore that same thing all independently? Or would you like to do it through a tours and travels company, right? So what is it that you'd like to do around that, right? So there's that. Okay. So coming again to the next point, I think is just an extension of what the thing I talked about in the previous point as well. So in life, we do study, we sort of live in a society which sort of comes with own prejudices and biases, in which, some of the things are acceptable and some of the things which are not so good. Some people end up judging you, uh, right? Of course, I did. Now things are really, really different. I don't absolutely do not think twice before, you know, uh, if I would like to do something, and this whole aspect of, oh, okay, what will people say, this whole aspect is absolutely not there. As long as I like stuff, there's an intrinsic motivation. I end up doing stuff without unapologetically, right? And then what happens in that particular journey will happen in that particular journey. And then so far, to be again on very, very honestly, I'm doing stuff which I just like to do, right? And I'm doing stuff that absolutely does not, guarantee, okay, this will lead to somewhere, this will lead to somewhere or something, or even sort of trying to gauge an outcome, what will come out of it. Uh, because I just want to do things that I like to do. I like to do with the people I like to be with. As long as I think that is covered, I am happy. Like that contributes to my happiness factor in life, right? So there's that, right? So in life we study, we live in a society, that sort of comes with its own prejudices, biases, and all that, right? And then we earn, we spend money working, we spend money in our studies, we spend time working in a company, we spend time working at different places, uh, right? And then through all of these sacrifices, we reach somewhere in life, right? And that somewhere in life will probably get us some luxury in life. We'll have like a, way of life, a particular standard of living, if that's the right word. And we'll spend time, probably with family, probably with, the stuff that you would like to do. It could be a company, it could be a company that you would like to start off. It could be uh, something like you contributing to an NGO, and that sort of becomes your thing. It could be something like some people end up becoming rescuers, right? A dog rescuer, something like that, something along those lines. And then being that major goal, everything you sort of try to have everything around that same uh bigger goal. For example, I just spoke to a friend of mine who recently moved to Pune. He has gotten selected for the TFI fellowship, Teach for India fellowship. uh he moved to Pune, a friend of mine from Nagpur. And then what he called me was for that he's already moved to Pune, and now he does not quite have a place. He has not quite found a place where he can stay. So he was asking me, okay, do I know any brokers? Do I know of any groups? Do I know of any people who are around from that particular area in which he would like to stay? I told him, okay, this whatever I knew about it, and then we had like a small talk around, okay, what's going on in life, right? We catched up, and then that whole thing that he has been selected for the TFI fellowship. right? And then he'll be contributing to that particular thing for 2 years. That has become his goal, and now everything else will fall in place. And then comes the thing, oh, okay, where do I need to stay? Oh, okay, this is the place from where I need to find food. This is the place from where, these are the places where I'm going to hang out on this particular weekend. This is what I'll try to do, and all that, right? While in Pune, if there's anything that he must have missed during, so he had also studied in Pune. So while his olden days in Pune, if there's anything that he had missed, he will try to complete those things. He'll try to spend time with more people. He'll also, since he's already spent like 4 or 5 years in Pune, he is going back to the city after a gap of like 2 to 3 years. He'll also see a trend shift in Pune, right? Like there are some new roads, there are some big tunnels, uh, roads have been changed. Some Pune now has metro, right? So he'll be able to see Pune through that lens as well, right? So that's basically about this guy's Sisyphus in a way, right? So one last thing happens in your life, and then everything else falls in the place of, oh, okay, this is what I need to do, right? For this to happen, this is what I need to do, right? Right. So again, uh, something that came from a conversation with a friend of mine, which I recalled. Now, this friend, I remember, I think we were catching up after quite some time, right? And then during one of our conversations, she mentioned that while, during the pandemic, again, not a lot of people were sort of going through a great phase back then. There was a lot of unpredictability. We did not know when we would step out of our homes and all that, right? She told me that she just went on a break of about 1 year, almost 1 year. She switched places, the place where she would work, right? And what later happened was, of all the, you know, phase that she was going through, once she just tried to shift her focus to work in a way, uh, and put down that stream of thoughts on hold, and just replace it with something else, uh, it helped. It helped in moving on. It helped in looking at the brighter side of things, because you were doing something that your brain was equipped with, your brain was engaged with, and it helped forgetting the past in many ways, right? uh So there's that. And then, of course, your work comes with a good incentive of money. Money, I think, is a decent enough motivator for a lot of people, right? Uh, so yeah, yeah. So that's about life. That's about my friend. Two of my friends, actually. Also the PFI friend. Right. So going to the next point, I'm going to take a pause of about 5 seconds. I've already sort of spoken for like an hour or so. Okay. I'll take a quick break and we'll resume this. Okay. Resuming the recording. Now we'll cover the next set of points. Right. So in life, next point says, in life we accomplish things to understand that we sort of never tried to, want them in the first place. What I'll do is I'll, sort of keep this point towards the end. Okay. Yeah, this looks like a good place where we can, talk about this. Uh, right now, what we'll do is we will see at another video.
We may not think of it in quite such naive terms, but we are liable to start out somewhere in the semi-conscious mind with a script of how our lives might go. First will come education, with its deep friendships, moments of intoxicating self-discovery, tender first loves, and at points sheer, riotous, good fun. Then will come a career, something that pays, but won't be done merely for money. Will be competent, respectable, and fairly honoured for the intensity of our efforts. Alongside it will come a central relationship, probably a marriage. The union will last forever and be marked by mutual satisfaction, sincere friendship, and frequent passionate sex. There'll be kids too, offering us a chance to nurture a grateful, adorable small person, the best of its two parents, whom we'll watch grow into an admirable, motivated adult. With advances in science, we will lead an active and pain-free life, mentally and physically healthy, into our early 80s at least. Our parents will themselves have died at an advanced age, and when the time comes for us, the end will be swift and painless. This is, more or less, the kind of script we're handed by a technologically advanced, secular consumer society, and it's no wonder that in many moods we should want to cleave to it and trust it wholeheartedly. But the truth, never asserted as a general rule, never insisted upon in tones of suitable melancholy solemnity, is that no one gets through their allotted span on Earth without a major off-script event. Something, somewhere, is going to go catastrophically wrong. Not potentially or incidentally, but necessarily, because of the structure of human existence and of our appalling exposure to error, accident, madness, disgrace, and illness. Someone very important to us will die long before they should, in horrific and entirely unexpected circumstances. Or we'll suffer a significant reversal in professional life, probably triggered by a folly on our part, an entrenched character flaw, or just a collision with one of the very sharp edges of the business cycle. Or a central relationship will go wrong, a child will develop a major grievance, someone whom we entrusted entirely will betray all the hopes we'd lodged in them. Illness and death will strike from the blue, a stroke on the airport concourse, cancerous cells in an unfeasibly young body, a hemorrhage that came at least 20 years too soon. The permutations are as endless as they are ghastly. We cannot know what it will be exactly. What is certain is that it will be something, an event committedly disastrous in nature that will stop us in our tracks, make us question every resilient assumption, and break our hearts. The only guarantee is that we will not exit this life without a calamity. If there is any defence or consolation to be found, it lies, of course, in knowing the fact head-on and preparing for it assiduously in the quieter stretches. To philosophize is to learn to die, knew the French philosopher Montaigne, and he might have added, to be more all-encompassing, to suffer too. Expecting the unexpected horror is the one move we can make to insulate ourselves a little from the vengefulness and wickedness of fortune. We know that something will come, and when it happens, we shouldn't feel especially cursed. Our lives may appear to have gone off script, but that's only because the script we were holding to was a sentimental lie. We are in fact following the path that all humans must walk. We should never feel persecuted for falling victim to what is the repressed yet general truth. It is at least on the basis of off-script events that we can develop our deepest friendships, surrender our self-righteousness, acquire the right kind of gallows humour, and grow up. Newly aware of the ubiquity of random disasters, we can start to appreciate the bits of our lives that are on script. We can know just how much to cherish those quiet days in which nothing much has yet gone very wrong. And when the off-script event comes, we can at least say that we knew and realized a while back that this is just what it means to be human.
Our resilience.
Right. So again, sort of something intense. Uh, I remember sort of watching this whole, of course, the whole channel, this one, the School of Life is pretty amazing. And I sort of remember watching this video when I was questioning something in life as well, right? This was around last year, and then came across this video, and then yes, something catastrophic had happened in my life as well. which made me question pretty much everything. And I was around this thoughts, ki what what went wrong? Uh, how was I wrong? Uh, and all those things, right? So, but yeah, when sort of like looking back and from that day till where I am right now, uh, I've realized a lot of things, right? I have made sense of a lot of things. It has made me realize and understand a lot of things in a lot, easier, better fashion. Uh, make decisions quickly, efficiently, with the least amount of effort in a way. Uh, and again, a part of the question is a part of the video also says that this whole catastrophic event will of course do a lot of bad things to you, but then it will also make you a human, and then that humanness in a way is what I think I got to realize this in with this particular event, right? uh Part of the video also mentions that uh the humanness increases, and then you sort of become closer to this friends that you had been with. And then as I again look back at series of events that happened after the catastrophic event, after that crisis, uh, I did come close to a lot of my friends, right? And then now I think I can, relate to people in a lot better way, right? Through all these conversations, which made me realize, rationalize, and it's only made me understand people's situations and a lot of other things better. And also in a way, it made me, understand a lot of things about myself. Uh, and then it's an ongoing journey, right? It's always has been an ongoing journey. Back at one point of time, I used to feel, you know, I had reached peak self-awareness, but then it only goes deeper. It only and only goes deeper, right? So yeah, amazing channel. In fact, this guy's book, so it's by this philosopher, British author, Scottish, sorry, Swiss-born British author, Alain the Botton, and uh his book, The Course of Love, is an amazing book which I've read, right? Uh, so yeah, just quickly touching upon what the book is about. So the book is basically about two people who meet, and they have sort of their own love story, and it is an amazing reality check when it comes to understanding a relationship, or simply just two people being together. That of course there are the good parts, but of course there are parts in which you feel like uh, uh, murdering the person you are with, right? So there are parts which yeah, like it's the whole spectrum that happens. uh and again, at the end of it, it's just upon both of you to how much look at the positive and brighter side of things, and look at life. So it's basically their story till the time their kids are old enough to leave their houses, right? In their late teenage, right? So uh, that is the book. That is the channel. Amazing channel. Do check out. Do check out if you find time, right? Uh, okay. Now we've covered this. Now, just an extension of what I have realized when it comes to life, when it comes to a lot of other things, right? Of course, you need to like, if you want to like go somewhere, if you want to go to the, if you want to go to Mars, probably you'll reach the moon, right? So there's that. If you probably are wanting to target to finish or lose weight of 10 kgs in like 6 months, uh, that might not happen, but then it'll happen that you'll be able to do, let's say, as long as you're taking some steps towards it, you'll definitely be able to do at least 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, if not the whole goal, right? So life is random. Life is random. what you would like to expect with things, with life, and all those things, right? It doesn't quite usually land in that way, to be honest, which is what I've seen, right? Uh, at a point of time, you'll probably feel that, oh, okay, this is the best phase of my life. This particular thing happening in my life is the best particular thing. But then it's just you who's living in that particular delusion that, and, you are sort of being blinded to, in a way, you're sort of being blinded to some of the things which might cause you trouble, right? And then once you ignore all these things for over a period of time, what will happen is these things will build up. Uh, and also in a way that you do not know, some of the stuff that will go wrong, right? uh and then some of these things which you probably feel bad, and if you're not expressing those, if you're not resolving those, they will go wrong, they will build up, and then it will lead to something really bad, right? uh and then again, life is random. uh to be honest, no one sort of expected the pandemic, right? No one really expected the pandemic. But I would say, somewhere down the line, we all have sort of made sense to what happened at the end of it. Uh, and all of us, in a way, have come out better, in a to be in a better place towards the end of it. Is what I would say. Uh, I do feel, again, on a, like, just touching up on a parallel note, that I do feel a lot of it had to do with, all the central banks around the world just pumping in money into the economy, and then, people had enough spending power, but also at the same time enough places where they could potentially earn enough. Uh, but then that's what they do, right? That's what they do, and whenever like a catastrophe happens, right? Uh, and then just like that is what happens all the time. Whenever bad things happen, the world shit goes down. Uh, right? That's what central banks do all the time. It is what I feel, right? Uh, Not what I feel, but they do that when they want people to be spending money, right? They pump in money into the economy, which will land into people's pockets. And then once from those pockets, since you have enough money, they'll end up spending more. And then, that's basically the cycle, right? Uh, yeah. Now, uh, but of course, like touching up on the pandemic thing, right? It did make all of us question the life that all of us were living, right? In a way, it made us all self-aware in a way. It made all of us realize that, oh, okay, stuff can be a lot better. Stuff can be easy. Stuff can be online, right? Uh, you probably the thing that needed to do for an hour or two is something that you can do for like 10-15 minutes, right? For example, like a meeting, or just writing something down and sending it to the other person, rather than having like a uh, unexpected fruitless meeting, which doesn't quite have any direction and agenda towards it, but then uh, something along those lines, right? So and again, quickly touching upon this whole point, if anyone would have asked me in 2018 or even 2019 or even till the beginning of 2020, would you ever go back to your hometown, which is Nagpur? My answer would be an absolute no, an absolute no. But then when COVID happened, a lot of people in my age, in my age group, all of my friends were heading back to their homes. Uh, and when all of us moved, we did not know when we would come back, right? But then what happened is pretty much everything became online, and then okay, this is where I am. And then at this point of time, I do not know, and I have no wish, to be honest, no urgent wish to move from the city, right? Uh, I'm getting to spend my time in the ways I would like to spend my time. Uh, I'm able to work remotely. Our place entirely works remotely, and it's pretty great, right? So all the projects, if there's any other project that I'm doing, then in most cases it's sort of, since I sort of know enough, I can efficiently do that. If I have the time to do that, and in case it also pays well. Right? So depending on all of these factors, I can, work and earn, right? Uh, so that is basically, how I see that life is random. Life is random. Uh, so since this is random, you cannot really plan for it, right? The best thing that you can do is the only thing, and the best thing that you can do is that just be, okay with the fact that something wrong will happen somewhere, and your expectations will be shattered in one particular way somewhere down the line, right? Uh, and then how do you solve for those is a different question altogether. But yeah, do keep that in mind that something somewhere will happen as it happened in the video that we saw. So, for example, right, like you cannot plan for stuff like a heartbreak. It'll just be something you plan with a goal to have a heartbreak. It'll never happen that way. It'll come abruptly, and something wrong will happen when you least expect it, right? Uh, you cannot plan for things, uh, but then something somewhere will go wrong. Uh, but then you make sense with it, right? Like that is what are catastrophic decisions in life. Okay. uh Catastrophic events in life that makes us more human, makes us closer to our friends, makes us question things, and makes us come to peace with a lot of things, and gives us like a good reality check. Now all right, what I'll do now is I'll again sort of cover this point first and go back. Okay. This point I think should come later as well. Okay. Now, so again, sort of just expanding upon some of these points, right? Right. So let's look at a person who sort of goes to a group, a community, uh, and all that, right? So if you see, like when it comes to sort of internet communities, there are plenty. There are plenty that if there's a term called over communityization or something like that, then that's happening right now. For example, when it comes to something like gaming, there are a million communities for sure. You can start your own community in case you know people. But then what happens when initially you're trying to explore a particular community around one particular genre? That you'll try to hop communities as long as you have options, as long as you have you know uh, places that you can go to, right? You'll probably learn few things, get some networking done, and then move to another community, right? uh, so there's that. Okay. Now again, building upon some of the other points, so this is not very directly related to the Sisyphus one, but just something that I, sort of see and look at life uh, when it comes to people. So there are, many echo chambers, and when it comes to thinking in groups, how people in groups think. Many companies and startups are sort of operating in the same way, and they, I think, can be improved if everyone has good clarity of thought, context, share the same mission and communication. But then that's the whole world, right? Like you do not have people at the same page. You do not have people on that same page when it comes to even a relationship, right? And that's when that is the same thing that you're trying to build upon, right? Once you've decided who you want to create your story, who are the set of people with whom you want to create your story with, right? Since not everyone has that same clarity of thought, not everyone has that same mission, that same intrinsic motivation, it's going to be difficult for them to work in the way in which you are going to work, right? And once you understand this particular thing, once you sort of understand that people are different than you, they understand, take decisions differently than you, uh, it makes sense, right? It makes you come to terms with a lot of things. that people inherently are different. They have their own life experiences, and then they are trying to do something in their life which they feel is appropriate, is worthy enough to fight for, and then they'll end up doing that. Okay. So that is something that would happen, right? Okay. Uh, now think of the things, the mention that I've mentioned sort of here. Uh, I feel that there are at least 100 people in this world, around the world, who have gone, at least 100, I mean, if not more. Of course, there would be people in lakhs and thousands and crores who have gone through that same experience, but then just for the sake of it. So when it sort of comes to stuff like cheating or infidelity, it has happened. It has happened in many cases. And then stuff like a person having anger issues, stuff like teenagers when they are in their high school or in their school when they are growing up, uh, stuff like bullying, introvertedness, one person being studious, one person being the bully, one person being the introvert. Uh, there are many people who sort of feel that same emotion, behave, act in that particular way. It's similar, right? It's similar because I also feel that it sort of originates from a particular set of things which are predictable enough when you sort of know enough about behavior, right? Again, not going into the depth of it. For an example, like a boy meets girl, so how does that story proceed, right? uh ho- does it continue, does it not continue, how long it continues, how does it end, right? uh, uh when does it end and all that, right? So a lot of people in the same thing must have gone through that journey, of course, right? So stuff like a person being bad at finances. So how do you solve for that particular problem? Because something like financial awareness, but not just financial awareness, but then how in the first place do you get people to have stuff like investing, having a good spending habit, keeping their finances in check? How do you solve for those problems? And then of course there are courses, but then since all of these people fall in that same bracket, you can train them, you can tell them, oh, okay, this is what you need to do, and then they'll be good at it, right? They'll be happy at it. They will do good. They'll be like good enough citizen for and I just wish people spend wisely enough and not become like a burden to the whole financial credit system that the world is operating upon, right? Uh, when it comes to frauds, when it comes to crimes, there's a particular template that a lot of people would fall into. And also stuff like what are the kind of emotions when a person goes through a heartbreak, right? So pretty, you can sort of bucket these things into one particular thing, right? So of course there are books, there's unlimited amounts of content which has been created around this particular thing, and how do you solve for these set of problems? Okay, so there's that. All right, coming to the next point. Now, let's try to sort of understand, you know, looking at this through the lens, this Sisyphean analogy through the lens of what you did over the last 48 hours. Uh, if I look back at my last 48 hours, so at this point of time, it's almost well in the midnight when I'm, recording this. So 48 hours would be what I started doing from Saturday, right? So Saturday, woke up. I think I was, yeah, I think I was pretty tired because I had spent, uh, my time at another friend's place. And then I think we were up till 5 in the morning, and then we slept for a few hours, and then at 8 is when I left the friend's place. I came back home, and then I had some food and then just crashed down and slept, right? I had an event to you know, I had an event to be at, and that event was at around 3:30. And then once I woke up, I had my food, I had lunch at home, went to the event, went to spend time at the event, uh, till around 7:30 is all the time that I spent at the event. From there, I went to meet once again the friend, with whom I was around spending that evening and night, right? Uh, Later, what happened is we spent time chilling around till I think 11:30, and then I came back home. Again, I was tired enough. I slept. Okay. So during this time, I think I did spend decent enough time on Instagram on with the book that I'm reading currently. Uh, I think I was catching up with one of my friends again on Saturday night and slept off, right? Woke up in the morning. I happened to be, working or volunteering at an NGO, and that NGO had a connect, monthly connect meeting. I attended that 10 to 11, slept for some time. I stepped out for a quiz this afternoon, came back by 3. No, didn't come back by 3, but then I had a friend who actually was generous enough to give me like a full tour of the government medical college, which we have in the city here in Nagpur. He showed me around the whole campus. Uh, and then we spent like 20-30 minutes in the whole thing. He gave me descriptions of what the whole department is about, what happens where, and I was very curious to know. It was pretty awesome. I also sort of had a small meal with him, and then we went to explore his college. He told me what he was doing, and showed me around the whole college. And then I came back. I had my dinner. I got freshened up. I slept. I slept for I think a good 3 hours. In the evening, I woke up. Uh, I think I did spend again some time reading. I was sort of bored enough so I didn't quite do a lot of stuff later. I think uh what happened next? I'm forgetting as well. Okay, so this evening I again sort of decided to, record this particular video. So spent about 20-30 minutes walking around and listing down all the points which I would like to try to cover in the video. Especially the Netflix one, it took about I think 10 minutes because I could not. It had been a while I had seen the episode, so I had to go through all the Wikipedia pages of the episodes and look at that description of the video of the episode and then figure out which episode was this, and also again go to Netflix and see when this clip comes in, and that's what happened. That's what happened, right? Uh, then I had my dinner. I uh, and then I had a walk for about 10-15 minutes. I then decided to record this video, right? And we are going on now, right now. Okay. So through all this time, I sort of had something to do, right? And if you actually see, absolutely none of it over the weekend was something in which I did spend my time earning something, right? It's just that I like meeting that friend. I liked spending time with that friend. That's why I happened to meet that friend. That's it, right? And yeah, we like spending time with each other, and then that's why we ended up, spending all that time. I like to quiz. I like to attend quizzes, and that's why I did that. Uh, I like recording this. That's why I am doing this, right? I like to read. That's why I spend some time with books, right? Uh, and of course, I like to sleep. I like to have my rest for my brain, and that's why I did that as well. Probably at some odd hours, but I did that. I did that, right? Now, try to imagine if I had nothing to do, right? So it would be pretty dull, boring, and I would have probably nothing, interesting to share around this particular you know, 24 hours. But then there were some decent enough things that happened that gave me, you know, good time, and that's why it was worthy enough to talk about. So there was something at the end of it. It was not like I had nothing to do, uh, but I had something to do, right? I had something to do. Right. So the next sort of point mentions that we live a routine, or we like a routine, or you know, something that's familiar, or something that feels home. And then what again sort of happens is, okay, you might hit a phase in your life which will make you explore the world. You'll feel like, oh, okay, this is absolutely not the city where I want to stay. But then what'll happen is you'll explore the world maybe for a couple of years, maybe you know, for a good amount of time. You will be like a digital nomad or something like that, right? But then eventually you'll try to find and settle down to one particular place, and or maybe you will have like a motor vehicle which you will, you know, use to work and also travel at the same time, right? So something like that. So at the end of it, there would be a constant to which you will go to towards the end of the day, a place that you'll sort of like to call home, right? Maybe, you know, 5 7 years down the line, you know, I'll not be in this particular place where I am right now. uh, I'll not be in this particular setting. For sure, I know that I'll not be around with the same laptop that I'm using right now. I'll not be around with the same mobile phone that I'm using right now. I'll not be around with the same set of, you know, ring light that I'm using right now, right? So all these things, right? It might also happen that we, or you know, we might renovate this particular place, and this place would not look the same. You know, it'll probably have a different color, the curtains will not be the same, and you know, it might change. Or it could also be the same, right? It could also, so there are some things which I can say you know, will be constant, or, and there are of course some things which I can very confidently say that this will not be like this, right? So that's how things are, right? And who knows what might happen tomorrow, right? uh Again, sort of going into that existential question, that would I even be around 5 years from now to record, or you know, look back at this video and see, and maybe even point out that okay, there's something that I had explored, right? So that there's that there's that as well, right? You need to be prepared enough, right? Okay. Now going to the next set of points. So I think we've almost sort of come towards the end of it. It's almost wrapping up, and for sure we will hit a 2 hour long video. So yeah, there we are. So in life, we accomplish things to understand and know that we never needed those in the first place, right? So as I mentioned, life is random. uh Something that you're probably wishing for, you might get it. Something that you're wishing for, you might not get it. But then you'll land up in a situation where you'll have to make all the other things in your life so that you can do that particular thing efficiently, right? For example, stuff like, okay, I live in Bangalore. I do not want to spend all those hours in my traffic on any given day. So what I'll do is I'll live close to my workplace. So that's a decision that you can make, right? So something like that, right? So here's what I sort of see. I sort of like to look at life, that there are no major goals, there are no you know, bigger things that you know, I sort of want to do. What I want to do is I want to do stuff that's interesting enough, uh, ideally with the people that I find interesting enough. I want to do stuff that I would like to be a part of, explore, be around people who are doing interesting enough stuff, and then in any way have those particular skills in which I can probably do you know, stuff which will take me to those places, right? And have those skills and build upon those skills so that I can be better at doing those things, right? uh and the and once as long as all of these things are happening, I think I'll be happy enough so that everything else will follow. Right? Okay. Now, what does that everything else mean? Right? My lifestyle, the money that I am making, and all those things. So this is how, for now, I like to look at life. Right. Uh, so in a way, you do sort of understand that the journey, all the small things, the way in which you are spending or trying to spend your micro time, the stuff that you like to do in spending your own micro time, that journey is sort of becomes the reward, right? uh, and then when there's also like this quote by Jim Carrey, right? Be famous for Jim Carrey, right? So he has like a quote, I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything that they ever dreamed of, so that they can see it's not the answer, right? So this is what he had said. uh, and then I feel again, as I sort of mentioned, right, like how I like to see things, that it's not like it's not about that bigger goal, it's not about you know the bigger thing that you are trying to achieve, but it's about all the micro things in which you can optimize for, right? Of course, part of it is going to be boring, part of it is going to be something that you like to do. For example, towards the end of the month, in case you are an employer, you need to make sure that your salaries to all the people you work with are credited, right? In case you are a freelancer, towards the end of the month, you need to do all those mundane things like, okay, giving out the taxes to your tax guy, uh, sending out all those invoices. And in case you have like a tricky client, what will happen is you need to follow up for some of the payments and all that, right? So some good stuff, some annoying stuff, but then you need to have all these things, right? You need to do all those things. Right. So, but then when you say that, okay, I want this, okay, you are establishing that you have something, you do not have that particular thing, right? And then once you target, as I mentioned, once you target the Saturn, chances are you will reach Saturn. Chances are you'll also reach beyond Saturn. But then, as long as you're doing the right steps, chances are that you'll at least hit the moon, and or somewhere that you will land up, and that will do good for you. One simple example is a lot of people trying to target the IITs, but then not everyone gets into IIT. I did not get into an IIT. I started off with that thought. uh, I landed up somewhere else, and making peace with it. I was happy during my college days as well, not with the course, but then with all the other things that I ended up doing. Loved it, and what I'm doing right now is all a result of all of those things, right? Uh, so yeah, there's that. And also right now, I do see a lot of people from my batch. They are doing stuff which we had studied during the college, but then I have no connection to what I had studied. I had studied during my college, right? And I'm still happy with it. I this is what I had imagined my life to be. And I think somewhere there I am, have made sense, like if not in its entirety, in some parts I am happy, right? So there's that, right? And lastly, once you sort of have accomplished that particular thing, what will happen is again, something that I mentioned in the article as well, that okay. Okay, anyway. So that you might go to the next step in your life, right? So something like after your bachelor's, you end up doing your master's. A very noob example, but then something along those lines, right? So life sort of becomes difficult in a way, but then since you have actually lived that experience, what happens is you are you are in a better place to deal with situations, right? Uh, think of it in that sense that if you can manage numbers and finances well and keep on adding that skill to it, then you'll also be able to handle bigger numbers, bigger finances, bigger accounts, and all that, right? So you keep on moving to next steps in life. Uh, for example, through this whole YouTube channel or you know the stuff that I'm recording right now, what might happen is I think I'll be comfortable enough so that I can uh do this a lot more efficiently. uh and then that is the thing in the first place why I started doing this, right? Because I wanted to be comfortable around speaking to a camera, right? And have my thoughts out clear, right? Uh, the other reason was that I love talking. I love talking about things that I care about, and then there are times when I do not have enough people to, share that stuff. So yeah, here we go. Here's this YouTube channel, and in case you're watching this, thank you for watching, and absolutely, absolutely love you. Right. So all these points now. Uh, I'll come to this particular quote by Einstein. So Einstein says insanity is doing that same thing over and over and expecting the same result, right? In case you are stuck with one particular problem, in case you are you know not having a great time with one particular thing, uh, what might happen is that it's most likely happening because you're not looking at that same thing through a different lens, right? Uh, and then once it hits you, then something you'll do and put in effort so that you can change that particular thing which is bothering your life, right? And yeah, so there's that, right? Uh, and this is like one of the quotes which keeps on going in my head a lot of times, right? A lot of times. Uh, so yeah, there's that quote. Now, finally, uh, now a bunch of points, sort of to wrap up the whole thing. So why all this, right? Why is the whole Sisyphus thing? And what's your Sisyphus? What is it that you are doing? Uh, once you it I think gives you enough ammo so that you can sort of think, look back at life, look back at what has happened to you, and just make just be just have that lens of acceptance that, oh, okay, this happened in my life and this is where I am right now. And then probably due to my own conditions, this is something where that I want to accomplish, this is something that I want to do, right? I think for a lot of people, what happens is during their 20s, during their teenage, they don't quite get to spend a lot of time with their family. So they go on with their families with, at tours, right? So I know a lot of people do that, right? So acceptance is one thing which, comes in when you sort of look at life through this particular lens. It for sure has made me, a little bit more confident about life in a sense that, okay, something has happened. And for sure, I will be doing something tomorrow, something a week from now, something a month from now, a year from now, uh, you know, so that I live towards, the things that I care about, right? Uh, and again, during that whole thing, life will happen, right? And also it gives you enough reality check that, okay, something wrong will happen, right? And even right now things are not perfect, right? Not in my life, not in anyone else's life. Probably are. It's everyone's perspective of looking at life, but hey, all the time, like things can be improved in many different ways, right? It can only be better when it comes to relationships, when it comes to compounding, when it comes to money, when it comes to your own skills, when it comes to your job, when it comes to how you look at the world, basically, right? And then when all this happens, it sort of also gives you like a good reason to laugh at life because, okay, I sort of do know that tomorrow I need to wake up, I need to exercise, I need to, have food, spend time with family, spend time catching up with some of my friends, do some fun, read some, work, and I know that's something that will happen, right? And then if you look at a day, that is how that whole thing is going to be constant over a period of time, right? So that's how things are. That's how things are. And it gives you like a reason to laugh at life. It gives you a reason to laugh at life. Oh, okay, something wrong is going to happen. It's just that I am better prepared in a way when that wrong thing will happen, right? Uh, in a way that, and of course it has, many different, it's a spectrum of different emotions and all that. And then what might go wrong is also, uh, you know, very, very grave. Just the thought of it, of some of the things happening that might go wrong, and is quite grave, right? So once you sort of understand this whole thing, every action becomes like a Sisyphus action, right? So once I record this, putting this on YouTube is going to be my next Sisyphus action. Uh, Sharing this particular video is going to be my next Sisyphus action. Uh, Sharing, that video a week from now with again with some of my friends is going to be a Sisyphus action. Waking up tomorrow, exercising tomorrow, walking tomorrow, reading tomorrow is going to be a Sisyphus action, right? Uh, and again, the same sort of goes on for friends. Some of your friends, that whatever they'll do, they will do something. They need to do something. They are chasing something. They probably are not chasing something. They need to be somewhere. They probably do not need to be somewhere. Some people need to be somewhere. Some people do not need to be somewhere, right? And all that. So everything sort of becomes like a Sisyphean action, right? Um, I sort of know what Rahul will do tomorrow. I think barber shops are closed on Monday. Uh, so he'll probably have a chill morning. He'll wake up late. He'll probably just go to college. I think also that since the exams are going to start, the colleges are off, so he'll have some time to study, spend some time with friends, spend some time chilling, uh, and then that would be his Sisyphean day, right? So again, I think I can talk endlessly about this, but for now, I think I'll go to the next point, right? So yeah, so every action sort of becomes like a Sisyphean action. Okay, so before I come to the very last point, and sort of wrap up this whole video, so there's this person, and again, I ended up discovering this whole quote through Alain the Botton's one of his videos, and then he ends the video with this quote, right? And then that I think the video was delivered, that it's a lecture that he had delivered at Google, and then that whole lecture starts off with, it's about relationships, it's about marriage, and then a lot of people say, so the video starts off with him asking a question to the crowd, in which he asks that, okay, how many of you do feel that you are married to a moron or a jerk or a stupid person or a person who is an animal, right? A horrible person, right? And you wish that this is something that did not happen to me. I wish this is something that did not happen to me. And then pretty much everyone in the room would have their hands up. And why? Because that happens, that in a way that sort of happens eventually to a lot of people, right? Like the dynamics that you have at your home, in which not everyone would be around to understand you in that same depth. Uh, and then people have their own journeys, people have their own way of understanding things and all that, right? So it's just going to be a normal, mundane, boring, mediocre life that you are going to live, right? Of course, do all the interesting stuff that you want, but and optimize for all the net positives that you have in life. uh, but yeah, so that is how the video starts, and then it's an 40-45 minute, I think an hour long video, and it starts off with that question, and then ends with this quote around life, right? It ends with this quote around life, and again gives you like a good reality check when it comes to life and what life is, uh right? So first let me also sort of look who this guy is. Seems like a Dutch, yes, Danish theologian. So Soren Kierkegaard, right? And then it's something from him, and it says, "Marry and you will regret. Don't marry, you will also regret it. Marry or don't marry, you will regret it either way. Laugh at the world's foolishness, you will regret it. Weep over it, you will regret that too. Laugh at the world's foolishness and weep over it, you will regret both. Believe a woman, you will regret it. Believe her or not, you will also regret it. Hang yourself, you will regret it. Do not hang yourself, you will regret that too. Hang yourself or don't hang yourself, you will regret it either way. Whether you hang yourself or do not hang yourself, you will regret both. That this gentleman is the essence of all philosophy, right? So that's him. So a wonderful, wonderful quote to sort of look at life. Uh, that life is a suffering. Uh, you will do something so that you optimize for, stuff that is good for you, the stuff that is good for the people you would like to be with, right? Uh, so I think on that note, I will conclude this almost, this video, which almost went on for like 2 hours. And yeah, like, please do tell me your perspective on how you look at things. If again, if you watch it towards the end, thank you so much. Do send me your postal address. I will send like a small gift to you. Would be happy to do that. Uh, you know, share this with someone. Share with me your perspective, how you look at life, and yeah, of course, like, do tell me if I've sort of gone wrong anywhere, right? Uh, so yeah, with that, let's sort of close this video. Uh, no final thoughts, but I think I've sort of pretty much covered anything and everything that I wanted to cover with with and in this particular topic. And yeah, closing this point as well. And thank you for watching. Thanks a lot for watching. Uh, about the next video, I don't quite have anything in mind, but sort of keeping a goal that at least have something going on uh, every week. So not sure what's going to be the next thing, but let's see. I think I would like to record something around survivorship bias, right? It could probably be like a 20-30 minute video, a shorter video, but we'll see that. We'll see, right? Or something from book, or something from like a concept around life or philosophy, or like a management theory or something like that, right? So yeah, let's see. Thank you for watching. Closing this video now.